Welcome into another episode of Automotive Insiders. I'm your host, Jason Stein. It's great to have you back listening again with us. Right now, suppliers across the industry are being squeezed from every direction. Shifting tariffs, volatile trade policy, and customers pushing harder than ever on price. In that environment, the suppliers who come out ahead aren't the ones reacting fastest to whatever number a customer puts in front of them. They're the ones who already know their own number, built from the ground up, material by material, hour by hour, before the negotiation even starts. On today's episode, we're joined by Matthew Smith, President and CEO of 3C Software, a company that spent decades helping manufacturers build detailed, defensible cost models. It includes material, labor, conversion, overhead, and they turn the cost picture into a quote fast enough to compete in a market moving by the week, not the quarter. Matthew and his team live inside exactly this problem on a regular basis, helping suppliers know their number before someone hands them one. So today we discuss why building that bottom-up cost model gives suppliers real leverage at the negotiating table, instead of leaving them reacting to whatever the customer offers. And we'll also follow that cost picture into the pressure test it's facing right now, where tariffs and shifting trade policy are forcing suppliers to reprice in hours, not weeks. And the ones who can are the ones winning the bids the others lose. It's Automotive Insiders, just ahead. Matthew, it's great to be with you again. Thanks for being on the program.
Absolutely, Jason. Good to see you again. We were just saying, I guess it's been about a year since I saw you last, but nice to see you again.
Yes, exactly. At the campus of Clemson and the MEMA event that was actually the last one had just concluded just last month. So great to be with you. I want to frame the whole conversation around maybe a bit of a single moment. The instant a customer hands a supplier a target number before the supplier has built their own, when a customer hands the supplier that price, what's actually happening in that moment, and why does it usually not favor the supplier?
Well, what's happening in that moment is you've got a lot of commercial guys that are very nervous. That's the first thing, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, you shouldn't be in that mode. I wish that we could arm these guys to be more confident when they go into these. But a few things are happening. The quick answer is that your response becomes very reactionary, right? Which puts you on your heels, puts you in a less negative position. You know, that analogy could transcend any kind of negotiation or relationship or even sports, right? Anytime you're having to react to what the other guy's doing, you're not in as good a position as you could be, right? What I think we try to do to try to get people out of that is to put some confidence and some real numbers in place that are defensible to sort of prevent that from happening, right?
Sure, absolutely. So you're in the middle of this at 3C Software. You are living this. Walk me through what should cost really means in practice. Material, labor, conversion, overhead, built from the bottom up. Why do so many suppliers skip that and just react to whatever number the customer offers?
Well, because they don't have confidence in their systems and numbers. That's number one. But let me back up and walk you through the way what I think would be ideal. Sure. Not just what's happening in reality today, right? So you're right. 3C Software, what we do is we build costing models for people that manufacture items and deliver them to their customers, simply stated, right? But in order to win that business, to allow you to be able to deliver a manufactured part to that customer, you got to win that business, right? And part of the cycle of winning that business is that buyer has sent you some kind of drawings or specifications or combination of things, and you've got to figure out, okay, what is it going to cost me to build this thing, to acquire all the raw materials, to provide the labor, the overhead, the machinery? What is it really going to cost me to build this part? And then what kind of margin do I need to satisfy my business? And then that becomes the price that I'm going to share with this buyer, right? So that's the process that we're talking about here, right? And as you indicated in your opening question, what happens a lot of times is the buyers have gotten smart. So when they put out all the requests for bids, they'll oftentimes float a price out there and say, hey, we're going to pay this. And that's what you and I were saying. Then everything becomes reactionary to that price. Well, those buyers are not dummies, right? They've put a cost out there that's probably below what they're willing to pay, number one, and probably below what they should be paying, right? To produce a fair margin all the way up and down for all the players up and down the supply chain, right? But for that manufacturer, that person that's got to try to win that piece of business, what we do and what I think is important in the process that doesn't happen today is you need a confident way to take those inputs from that customer and turn those into defensible, repeatable, and accurate cost estimates. All right, this is what it should cost me, to tie it back to the should cost. This is what it should cost me to make this thing. I've never made it before. I don't have the tooling in place. I don't have it. So that's why we call it should cost, right? It's an estimation using our best knowledge, and that's where the word should cost comes from, right? So we want to take that cost estimate and let it be the guiding, part of the discussion, not reactionary to the price that the buyer has floated out there that I'm trying to now chase, right? And instead, let the commercial teams that are presenting these bids use these defensible quotations that are very detailed, very repeatable, very defensible. We use that word a lot, right? And we use it because what we know is the buyers will sit down with the commercial team and say, hey, you've got 32 cents for this plastic injection molded part. What is that? And so many times I've sat in on these meetings. I've sat in on coaching cycles before they go in, and then I've been allowed to sit in on the discussions, and I've listened to recordings of them afterwards when they've been done virtually, which has happened a lot in the past few years, is immediately you can tell the commercial team can't really defend that answer. Well, that's just what it costs us, with our costs, instead of, well, wait a minute, resin is at $7 and so. We've got tooling, we have this. Certainly, we don't want to tell a story that shares all of our true cost with the buyer. That's not part of a healthy relationship. I'm not going to share with you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a logical, defensible conversation that says, well, this part of the price, you said you wanted it to be of this compound. This compound is at this market price. This is what it's going to be. My tooling, my labor, my overhead, my blah, 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 right? So what we want to do is educate and arm these commercial teams with these defensible quotations, not just one number, but, that you don't like the 35 cents. Well, what don't you like? 17% of it's material costs. That's not even me. That's me buying it on your behalf, or maybe you're even buying it. So over half of it's already out the window. What part do you not like? You see what I'm saying? So the fact that these commercial teams have good defensible knowledge of how those costs were built from the bottom up, what the unique components of those costs were, and how to defend each one of those components. That's what makes for an effective winning of an RFP. And I'll tell you something that I think I can prove time and time again that's quite ironic. There are a lot of buyers that are just looking for the lowest cost. That's very true. And if you just lower the cost and ignore everything else I'm saying and just win it on price, that's good. It's just not sustainable long term. Right. Or they'll come to you for cheap parts and you'll lose out on the high value add parts because they'll go to somebody else that's more like I'm about to describe. What a buyer really wants is a mature, trusted partner that they can buy from. Do they want a low cost? Yes, they do, right? But by and large, they would trade that low cost for a trusted supplier on quality, on will they respond to me, the speed at which you turn stuff around and communicate with them. Those are the qualities that really the buyers are looking for, in addition to the cost. I'm not going to minimize the fact that they beat us up on cost all the time. And when I say us, I'm on the manufacturer side, right? But more than just cost, if everybody's costs are the same, these are the characteristics they're looking for.
So that's the cost model. Let's move from the cost model to the speed at which it can become a quote, and why that speed is being tested right now. Yeah. And I think that's where 3C Software's tools come into the story. So let's really get into some of that. If it doesn't matter, if that cost picture only matters if it can turn into a quote that's done efficiently, walk me through where 3C fits into the process. And I know tariffs and shifting trade policies are testing speed constantly right now, right?
100%. So the velocity at which these transactions and these conversations are happening is speeding up all the time, right? And what we're talking about when we're talking about that speed is from the time the buyer sends an RFP out to potential suppliers, right? From that time when the clock starts ticking, how long does it take me to get a response back? How fast is my RFP completed, verified internally, approved internally, and presented back to that buyer? That's the speed window we're talking about, just to be clear, right? How fast can I respond to that? Well, if everything in my cost world is static, then I can have everything ready to go. I know what my labor rates are. I know what my shipping rates are. I know what my tariffs are. So when I get that RP, I'm responding quickly. But what happens if when every morning I come into work, something's changed, right, in my cost structure? New tariffs have been imposed. We haven't even figured out yet what tariffs should be applied to this quote, yet I'm trying to get the quote turned around. So that's the cog in the wheel, is that things in my costing world, my cost inputs are changing so rapidly that my templates for doing this costing can't respond fast enough, right? Which slows down my overall response. So what we do with 3C software is, number one, we build costing and quoting models. You know that, right? This cost-based quoting is a big part of our business for manufacturers. And what we do is different elements of the model are configured so that they're very dynamic and very quickly one update and you requote, one update in another area. So let's say I have a tariffs table from this country to this country by way of this country, whatever the rules are, this type of material, that type of material, whatever the rules are, here's the tariff. I maintain that data, and all of my quotes, as that data changes, I can instantly requote with a new version of the quote, right? So I don't have to go back and redo all that work, open the Excel spreadsheet, try to remember where the tariff data gets inserted. I just insert the data in the table where it belongs, and the quotes get updated accordingly, right? So being able to not only get that first quote back, but you know enough about this, Jason, I know to know that it's never you send me an RFP and I respond and they pick a supplier. It's a back and forth. Well, what if we put a gadget sticking out the side of the part? Or what if we reduce the weight of the part? Or, what if we saw, there's all these versions and back and forth, because the buyer's really kind of trying to work with you to design that part, for low cost or for something else that's going on his design team as we're going through this bidding process, right? So it's all those second, third, 13th versions of that quote where speed's really important. If the buyer comes back to me and says, hey, all right, we like your quote, but what about this one thing? Let's make this one change. I want to be able to immediately go back and say, oh, that one change, that's an extra 2 cents up or 2 cents down, whatever it is, right? Because my model needs to be dynamic. It needs to be modular. Each little component, if I need to change labor, I just need to go into labor. Like maybe they want me to manufacture it in Singapore instead of in Taiwan. Okay, let me go. I can do that just quickly because my model's got all the infrastructure. I can change manufacturing location and all the different things that affects, because that affects not only the labor rates, but my machinery that's at that facility versus the other machinery. It affects my overheads, my tax rates in that country versus the other country. It affects my tariffs, perhaps, because now I'm shipping from a different country than I thought. But having all those relationships in the model so I can do one drop down change and the quote refresh itself and not lose what I had before. You need versions of the quote so that you can effectively walk your buyer through that cost buildup. Because ultimately they'll say, well, wait a minute, how did we get to $6? 6 versions ago, we were at $5. Well, let's do a cost walk, we call it. You made change number 1, that was minus 15 cents. Change number 2, up 28%. Change number 3, plus 50%, right? So you're able to isolate every little change with versions of that quote and walk somebody through it, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to systemize. We're using a lot of AI now. That's a perfect application for AI, where it can learn what the behaviors are. It can look at past quotes that you've won or lost from that same particular customer of yours, and AI start to understand what seems to be important to them and hint you in the right areas, right? So these are the things that we do, Jason, the way we're trying to help. But you touched on that speed is what's most important.
Tons of stuff to consider, and a moving target that you are living in at all times. But I know, Matthew, that you are helping suppliers at every level. So thank you for the overview.
I appreciate the opportunity to share it with you, Jason. Always interesting.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks again to my guest, Matthew Smith, President and CEO of 3C Software. Come back to this platform for more Automotive Insiders episodes. I'm your host, Jason Stein. We'll see you again next time.